Welcome everyone to another episode of the Brews and Views podcast, Tales from the Sea and the City. I'm one of your hosts, Kevin Griffin, with my partner,
Jeff Williams.
And we're glad to have you here today on another episode of the Brews and Views podcast. As you can tell, no surprise, we have, for the third episode in a row, changed things up here on the Brews and Views podcast. And I'd like to be the first to announce that we have modified, updated, relocated. Officially the Brews and Views studio. So as the series of our podcast continues to go on, I feel as though we have made the nice adjustments as needed into the podcast to just continuously improve it and continuously put out some great content, maybe a little drunken content here and there. Shout out Jonah Day.
Jonah Day, thank you for the bush lights.
And we're going to go back to that 30-ride challenge eventually.
Yes, my will, yes.
But we are in the new Brews and Views studio in our very isolate, secluded location of the Nest 2.0, as we've referred to in previous episodes. So I'll let the owner of the Nest 2.0 and the new studio owner of the Brews and Views podcast speak on his behalf.
Oh, well, we're exactly 20 feet away from where we were last week. We just shifted.
Only one wall separates.
Yes, we shifted this way. Our videographer, Jesse, he said, the entire time we were over here doing that, he was looking at this area. He's like, man, I'll tell you what.
Seeing the potential.
Yeah, exactly. He saw the potential in it, and I'll tell you what, the man's got an eye for it.
I tell you what.
What? So we decided to come down here and adjust, the bar a little bit, get everything behind us. And yeah, this is the new studio. Hope you all enjoy it. Hope it's a pleasure on the eyeball.
It's not a sight for sore eyes, if you will.
Bingo. So we're going to just hop right into these beers here. Kevin, I've had it. I bought it.
And you tried it.
I've tried it.
So in its customary proper drinking attire from BrewDog in Las Vegas.
Would you look at that?
Yeah, I'll be damned. I brought the right glassware today. I'm in the style of changing things up here on the new era of the Brews and Views studio. I'm not drinking an IPA.
It is.
It is a new day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm actually drinking an American red ale from one of my favorite breweries, BrewDog Brewing Company, nationwide here in the great country of the United States. It is the 5 a.m. Saint American Red Ale. Jeff knows a little bit more about 5 a.m. than I do because I'm normally still in bed at that time.
I'm almost to my first break.
Yeah. He's almost waking up from his first little siesta that he takes at his job. Going into the second at this point.
It's early.
I have not personally had this beer before, so this could be a little taste on the palate here.
Won't you dive right in?
Yeah, of course. I'd love to have it. And while you tell us a little bit more about BrewDog that we haven't said already here.
BrewDog out in Vegas, their big thing is Elvis, which is fantastic because I'm a big Elvis fan, as you may have known. It's just a great brewery. I think it's out of Ohio, the original brewing where it started.
Ohio and New York, I think, yes.
Yeah, kind of in between there. But overall, just a great brewery. And I know this beer here, it was the last one I tried out of the pack, and it was definitely probably the number 2 out of the pack. What do you think?
It's a very good beer just from the sample I've had so far. So only 5% for this red ale, and it honestly still has that nice, refreshing taste, and a little bit different on the palate scale as far as if you know even a remote knowledge of craft beer, that the ale just has a different type of flavor as far as my traditional IPAs go, no matter what coast I'm having them from. Just has a little bit more, even with the 5%, has a little bit more of a thicker flavor to it. And just partially the way that it's brewed. But I like what it says here on the can, that a modern-day miracle.
Modern-day miracle.
I'd love to know how BrewDog came up with the modern-day miracle and the 5 a.m. Saint name.
Well, I like the graphics on it, too.
Yeah,
it's a different...
That traditional golden look here on the can. Yeah, I'm very intrigued by it. BrewDog's, we've featured them several times on the podcast before. An excellent brewery.
There's a reason why.
Yeah, and it's definitely, it holds true, even though this is a style I don't normally have. It's, of course, BrewDog provides an excellent product. Now, their stouts, I just don't know if I can jump into that. But in ale, it's not the first ale I've had from them. But another excellent beer by Brewdog.
Well, their stouts are pretty good.
I'm sure.
And I had it out in Vegas. It was top tier. I wish I knew what the name was. It's on my Untapped. But
I was saying, I'm sure it was on the Untapped, and I mean, to be honest with you, by the time that we had left Brewdog, we talked about it in the Vegas now, so if you haven't listened before, but we were feeling all right. A little bit tipsy, but I'll tell you what, too, just speaking of Brewdog real quick, and we're going to get into the Castrol GTX that you're drinking tonight. So, one thing, I definitely hyped up Brewdog in Las Vegas before we went. I was like, dude, I'm telling you, this is the vibe. You're going to like it. This is what we have. And as soon as we walked in and were graced upon the stairs, you're seeing on our podcast photos, and we saw the Brews and Views in an area.
Well, they knew we were there.
Yeah.
They spent the extra money, to get us to where we needed to go.
It was the good Lord telling us where we needed to go, to home, if you will.
Yeah.
And I do say so myself. I think you might agree that the hype that I provided behind it did not disappoint.
Oh, absolutely. I mean,
even with the weather conditions being a little chillier for Las Vegas. Yeah.
I mean, if you're a craft beer connoisseur like me and my friend here are, it's a different kind of vibe. I mean, from us just sitting here drinking, and then when you actually go to a brewery, and of course everything in Vegas is so extravagant and luxurious.
All the pomp and circumstance.
Yes. I mean, they did Brewdog right out there. They really did.
You couldn't ask for a better location, to be honest with you.
No.
I mean, you're not sitting on a massive high-rise hotel or something like that, to where you're really going to be impacted by weather conditions and the wind and things like that in the desert. I mean, it's probably, I want to say it's like a 4 or 5 story building on the rooftop there, and they've taken over the entire rooftop. We can sit in, out. I mean, the vibe out there is just amazing. And honestly, I mean, it is my favorite place to drink at in Las Vegas.
Well, the building's just tall enough for Morgan Wallen to throw a chair off of.
Just about. And he can get that good wind to where it just goes right into the street.
Right into the middle of the street. Won't hurt anybody, just playful fun.
Speaking of Morgan Wallen, I had the opportunity to, when I was in Nashville a couple weekends ago, to visit this bar as it's Morgan Wallen's newest bar on Broadway. Also got to go to Lainey Wilson's new bar as well, just off of Broadway. Both new establishments, I think.
Lainey Wilson is off of Broadway?
Yes, it's in the old, if you're familiar with Nashville, it's in the old FGL house. So Lainey Wilson bought that up. If you have been to the FGL house in Nashville pretty frequently, it's right off the pedestrian bridge there and just south of Broadway. A lot of the interior was pretty much the same. Obviously, she's put her own little twist on things, but the core of the building was still the same. With Morgan Wallen's bar, a little bit different. Because they went in, gutted it all out, and revamped it. It's something to go check out if you're ever in Nashville. I definitely recommend doing it when it's one of the less popular times. I personally went. There was a Zach Bryan concert going on, and I wasn't attending it, but the producer was, so I had to find something to occupy my time.
Mrs. Hop. Yeah, she was there singing with all that.
Well, surprise did it.
Yeah.
I'll be damned too. I was a little disappointed. Shaquille O'Neal was also on Broadway that same night. I was like,
was he DJing or something? Or
I don't know. I never found out why he was in town, but that same, when people were posting about the Hawk 2 girl at the Zach Bryan concert, on her own social media, she posted, or maybe Shaq's social media, that same night, had posted a selfie with her in Nashville.
That's crazy.
And I was like, man, I missed out now prepared to hear. Here I was providing the good people of Nashville a little performance of the solo act of Ronnie Dunn. Couldn't do it justice without my boy Kix Brooks here, but, I tried to provide some entertainment while, the people that aren't going to the Zach Bryan concert can still be entertained,
Exactly. And yeah, you got to pay the cover charge to get in, but I mean,
of course,
for that $5 for some great entertainment.
Well, it's really just to pay for the security to let the riff rap stand. So, you know what I mean? So I was able to perform 2 songs while down in Nashville, got on Broadway once, and then and went over to Painter's Alley, and always a good time down there as well. But got to go check out just a brief glimpse of Morgan Wallen's bar. So it's a nice establishment. I definitely would recommend going at a less popular time, though, because anytime, Friday, Saturday night, during the weekends, really, it's going to be pretty bad.
You know how Alan Jackson, if I think it's on the 3rd floor of his bar, he has that big old moose that he shot, like taxis right up there. Morgan Wallen should get like in a showcase, like the chair
Just a frame chair.
Yeah, the actual chair that he threw has a little plaque on it. Like,
you know, and it's funny you mentioned that too, because he was the Morgan Wallen concert that we had attended back in May. It was the day before, so he did a Thursday, Friday, Saturday concert, and we attended the Thursday. The Friday was his court date.
nice.
I told the producer, I said, it would just be a real big F to you if he just walked out or at any time during the performance, you know, and just brought out a chair and just put it there.
Yeah.
Did nothing, just put it there just to say F you to the man.
Yeah.
And just really get the people going.
Well, I mean, it was like a federal offense what he did, so I'm sure he was playing a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he really didn't want to antagonize it and really make himself look
Something about like an attempted homicide.
something, you know what I mean, whatever, you know.
It is what it is.
It's neither here nor there. But before we get too far into this podcast, tell me, I haven't got my oil changed in my truck in a hot minute. Can you tell me what you're drinking this evening?
Believe it or not, I am drinking an ale.
Oh, well,
Yeah, not drinking anything too heavy here.
Interesting. The lighting I don't hear still it's still you can there's a little bit so instead of 100% black, it is now 90% black. It matches your disability. How about that?
Yeah, there's a glow.
Minor glow.
Yes. So I'm drinking from AleSmith tonight.
Personal favorite of yours.
Yes, personal favorite. Shout out to Joe McHard. He traveled. He just got transferred back here to the tri-state.
God's country.
Yes.
Well, Joe.
Working over in San Diego. I sent him some money. He went over to the actual brewery itself and picked me up a couple different beers. This is one of them. It's a 6-pack. Comes in at 5%. And like I told you before, it does come with the pairings with it. So what you would eat this with is aged Gouda. I don't know if I'm doing that.
I don't know if I would jump into that kind of pairing.
Yeah.
To their recommendation, I suppose.
Yeah,
you know.
it's good. I mean, there's nothing wrong with this beer. I've had it on tap out there multiple times.
Now, what were some of the other recommendations? Did it tell you?
So
serving temperature and things.
yeah,
like that?
so 45 degrees, 50 degrees is serving temperature. The glassware is a Munich, so it's close to what this looks like, but not exactly. And then the origin is San Diego, California, of course. Which was established in 1995.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So a little tidbit there, and that's a nice thing. You mentioned about AleSmith before when we featured one of their beers on here that they put those little tidbits on there. It's just a nice added bonus that we found intriguing, at least, that you don't normally see. A lot of breweries don't do that. But speaking of different breweries, we've talked about two already. Why don't you share a little insight on what we've been up to recently as far as the Brews and Views brand?
Well, about 2 weeks ago, we happened to do the thing that we've been talking about. We hosted a karaoke event down at the Henderson Brewing Company. Had a blast.
Yeah, that was really funny.
It was really good times. I mean, we took notes on what we got to do a little bit better, you know, sound equipment, all that stuff. But for the most part, once you get a little of that liquid courage in you, that's when the party really gets started.
That's true, and we'll talk about this here real quick because Jeff and I haven't had a chance really to talk much since we've had that event. But I think that we briefly talked about it. I think it went really well. I think obviously there's some things that your wife had jotted down that we kind of talked about throughout the night that can just kind of, not that it necessarily went bad by no means, but that we can improve upon just to make the process itself a little bit smoother, a little bit more easy flowing moving forward. I thought that for two rookies going into the karaoke business, and I use the term karaoke business very loosely because we really just threw it all together.
Yeah.
And thanks to the iPad that we use and the same stuff we use down here in the Nest 2.0, that I think that it went really well. I mean, I know that I was able to talk to a couple of the staff members, one of the owners of the Henderson Brewing Company that gave very great reviews, have invited us back, once we can get on the schedule later on this summer. And I think that the area that we set up with too was also very nice, just having that little platform stage and just also that tunnel right there to just keep some of the sound in a little bit.
Yeah, and if you don't like karaoke but you want to sit outside, I mean, you can go all the way to the back.
Yeah,
there were a couple females that did that. They're like, oh, we like to hear the music, but we don't want to be part of it.
Yeah, well, and it's kind of like in some like live music situations, like I enjoy going to different establishments, breweries, bars, and such, and listen to live music, but I still want to be able to conversate with the people at my table.
Yeah.
So if I can just hear it, not as intense.
Yeah. I don't need to be vibrating.
Yeah, I don't need to be vibrating, and too much vibrating, especially with you and I up there, could cause some, some good times unexpectedly. As your wife and the producer can attest, I mean, sometimes these four walls, you just never know what's going on.
Yeah, it's going long.
As you like to coin the phrase, a wet floor sign.
Yes. Well, yes. Bring the towels out.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
But I think that for two buffoons that decide, hey, let's start up this karaoke thing and let's see what we can put up together, I think that did a pretty top-notch job, and again, got great reviews for it. What's your overall thoughts as far as that goes?
Well, first of all, I mean, the anniversary party, they had new beers I've never tried.
Yeah, I mean, their ale series, they rotated it 3 times that day.
Yeah, no, that was so good.
Yeah.
I mean, the beer was on point, which made us have a little bit more of a less nervous breakdown of, I mean, with it being a company, not really a company because we don't have an LLC yet.
Yeah,
but,
our brand.
Yeah, our brand name out there, it's nerve-wracking. So we went out there, we had a couple beers, I mean, had like hour and a half prior. So yeah, between setting up and all that stuff. So we got our nerves kind of knocked down, and then
it was nice too. It was a familiar territory too.
Yeah,
we've gone down there. It's my home brewery. You've gone there a dozen times. Like, we just know the territory. We know the staff. Like, it makes a big difference, because I think if you and I had gone into that in some place we weren't familiar with, I think we really would have been on edge.
Which it will happen eventually. If we keep doing what we're doing, and we start investing in more of the karaoke systems and whatnot, we will get invited to show at some of these different kind of bars, pubs.
So we go to the Nest 1.0 if we're not karaoke, but people
He's gone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's gone.
Well, then who's doing karaoke now?
I have no idea.
Well, there's a phone call.
I know, they got their own stage.
Really?
Yeah. Have you not been in there? They rebuilt the entire back room.
Well, I know. So the last time that I went in there, I'm going to table that for just a second.
Oh, God.
I want to give a negative shout out, if you don't mind.
Positive shout out
to whoever it may be. I'll leave it anonymous because these people will know who they are. Whoever decided to pull the prank on me, that I'm sure video footage is eventually going to be released on some sort of social media platform, of a traumatic experience, if you will, at the original Nest, just north of here in Vanderburgh County, where a certain song was played. Someone ran off the stage, and it provided me a Viet Cong War flashback of the night.
A little PTSD,
100%, of the night that happened to a former partner of mine at the Nest, and that was chaos as it was to begin with too. So, if this gets clipped and put on TikTok, just make sure that everything is made anonymous. But I did want to give a shout out to the person who ever orchestrated that idea, because I know they really were trying to drive a good point in, and they got one over on old Roddy Dunn. I'll give them that.
I'll tell you what the best part about that was too. The person that ran off didn't know the story at all. They go, run, bet, okay. And the fact that they staggered with the first part.
Yeah,
who doesn't know?
For a second there, and then as I was explaining the story to a table that I was around, of why this was a bit or whatever, the bit went even further to the running on the stage, and my face, says it all.
Oh, we got a good picture of it too.
Yeah, I think my reaction pretty much just summarizes that. It takes a lot to get one over on old Roddy Dunn, but I'll give credit to the persons that orchestrated that idea.
It was a group.
Yeah.
It was a group orchestrated
effort. I figured it was a group effort at that point.
Oh, yeah.
This is the setting. This is where
we signed them up, and you kept asking, what are they singing? It just says TBD.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't worry about it.
I was like, fine, whatever, I'll take a break for a minute.
Yeah.
I should have known. I didn't even put, of course, I had a couple of Henderson's finest craft beers in the great state of Kentucky, but I was none the wiser, truly. I didn't think anything of it. Did I think it was a little odd? Yeah, sure, but you know what I mean. It was a great night thus far.
I don't want to ruin it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, maybe you know what I mean. Who knows? I didn't even think about putting that song on that whole thing. So
Well, and I tell you what, the best part was they came back and then sang the actual song like to a perfect key and tone too.
oh, like in that same yeah. Okay,
same song.
I was like, I didn't think that song got played twice. I see.
Yeah. So yeah,
Yeah, so I just had to give that little sidebar, you know, shout out to whoever were the geniuses behind that little fiasco.
yeah, they're not sitting on the couch over there.
Yeah, clearly not. So, anyways, back to what you're talking about. I'd be remiss if I didn't hit up on that point there. So, it comes to the point of where, losing my train of thought. Sorry, I knew I would do this.
ADHD.
Yeah. I ADHD, OCD, PTSD. I mean, we're up there. I'm not 90%.
All the D's.
Yeah, all the D's, obviously. No, where I was getting to my point was, I think that the product that we provided for that evening was a good test run. That was the first time that they'd ever had karaoke at the brewery. I thought that they brought a different crowd in on top of the crowd that we had helped supply. So big shout out to everyone that came over across the Money Saving Bridge over in Henderson, Kentucky from the Indiana area. You guys know who you are. We appreciate it because there were a lot of people that, you know, as we, I would say definitely the first 10 songs that we played, just to get people going, just to get that confidence going. You know, it's one thing if the hosts get up there and sing, but just to have our friends and family get up there and help out and contribute during that, you know, means a lot to us.
Well, I had a blast duetting with some people that were like too shy to get up there as well. That was a lot of fun. I mean, it was tequila, but you know, I mean,
yeah, and did you know that it was an old friend of mine or?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know if that's
what you told me. Yeah.
Yeah, you're like, oh, yeah.
I remember the series.
Yes, exactly. So, I mean, it was just, I think that we can take a lot out of it in just a learning opportunity moving forward.
I would agree. Yeah. I mean, like I said, I enjoy doing it. I'll do it down here all night, except on work night. But, I mean, I think it was good that we went up there and sang about 3 or 4 songs prior, though. That was key. Well, also because we wanted to.
I wasn't doing it just to like have other people sing.
We gotta get this mic in now before it starts getting.
Yeah, I mean we didn't know. So of course we had to warn that we did our top level one.
Yeah,
the A-listers that we could do with our eyes closed.
Oh yeah.
I don't know if you noticed this too. So there was, I mean it was probably halfway through the whole set list. I sang one of our songs and it was in the karaoke. It's in our karaoke playlist that we have of 100+ songs. The one I have has the lyrics to it. When I searched the song and added it to our evening queue, I picked the wrong one. So I went up there waiting for the lyrics to change, and it didn't. So now I'm panicking. And so now, because as the host, I mean, you gotta
drive it.
Yeah. And there was a brief 5 seconds there where I was like, I gotta pull it together. Like,
yeah. Well, I noticed you had your eyes shut the entire song.
Yeah, that was the song. Like, yeah, I was like,
oh man, old boys feeling.
I almost did the whole, you know what we do right here, so now we the whole spin around. So we're not looking at the lyrics.
Bingo.
But I was like, I've got to stay focused. I knew the song. It's one we sang 30+ times. But it was one that I was like, oh boy, I did not. This was a foul ball out of the left field that stayed in play. I did not expect that one coming in.
Well, luckily we do that down here plenty. Practice. Yeah. This is the practice center down here.
Of course, for when we do get to go in public, you know, I don't think my memory fails me, mainly because of my old age and the amount of beer I drank that night. Did I throw in the little cue of, you know, you've seen us perform in Las Vegas?
Yes.
Nashville? Okay.
Yes, you did.
I had to get that little one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Because I
think you did it when my wife went up there and you said you've seen her perform in Las Vegas, in Nashville, in Evansville, Indiana. Now she's here in Henderson.
That sounds about
yeah. It just called old Reba McEntire.
Yeah, the one and only. Yeah. I mean, I was a little disappointed we didn't bring up the traditional way that we did, but
She didn't want it.
Yeah, alas, we have to, as we do with the studio, we have to make changes as needed, and we want to provide the best product possible. But yeah, I'll be looking forward. We'll get with the people we've spoken to that are in charge of the organization at Henderson Brewing Company, and a big shout out to them. I mean, we talk about them a lot here on the podcast, but throwing us a bone really to two buffoons that this was our first gig, if you will, or this is our first setup. It gave us a lot to work on. That way we can really hone it in and work on it next time. I've already, just going off the list that we took down, got a lot of ideas that we can fine tune and clear it up a little bit as well. But if you missed out, be sure to keep following the podcast too, because we will definitely, as we did with the last one, promote it very heavily out here. So if you're mad that you missed out on the first one, shout out Zach Willis. Yeah. We will definitely make sure that you get the opportunity the next time.
Oh yeah, I'm just ready for the next one, man. I love karaoke nights.
Yeah, it'll be
Something I strive.
Yeah.
At your housewarming party, I'll bring karaoke set up. And
What do you mean? If
no, I'm not saying.
No,
put it on your back porch, and like the crowd could be down on the hill.
Do not show up to the housewarming party at the Prescott Palace, former Brews and View studio, without the karaoke machine.
Take care of it.
Yeah, don't show it. You won't have the hog or the lumpia or the pork barbecue, all the stuff my mom's cooking the day before.
That saint.
She's gonna be slaving over a hot stove all day Saturday before people come over. So don't do it, or don't come over without the karaoke machine. I will lock the food up until you bring it. It's
in the safe.
We are ordering a hog from Illinois, so it will be.
Are we roasting it or
no? God, no, we're not roasting. You're working that weekend. I ain't doing it myself.
That's true. Yeah.
Now, alas, that will be, if the one the great Ronnie Dunn ever gets married one day or has a child, then we'll do it.
Well, you'll have a fence at that point.
Yeah, we'll have a fence at that point.
Like, you might not be in the same spot. You move like a freaking turtle does, man.
Dude, I was just telling someone about this the other day. The amount of times I've moved, and some of my close friends can definitely attest to this as well, because shout out to them, they've helped me many a times. Shout out Zach Young, Austin Williams, my buffoon here to the left. Yeah, I've moved quite a few times, definitely, and it's nice to. I plan on being here for several years, especially once I get sedentary, getting the fence up for the new pup that I'm bringing into the house, and that's gonna be a big learning curve as well.
Yeah, I can't wait to hear all the excuses. Oh, I can't record today. The dog hasn't had attention since I went to work.
Listen, that won't be me complaining about that. You take that up with the producer. I grew up with dogs being outside, rough and tough, style dogs.
Yes.
They didn't freeze their ass off in the winter. We'd bring them in the garage in the winter, and they made sure they were warm. They always had food.
Red light,
Yeah, they got the scraps at the end of every meal kind of thing. I mean, they were, my dogs back growing up
literally threw him a bone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Several times threw him a bone.
Yeah.
And so it's, but it'll be interesting. I've never done the pup thing before, so that's gonna be a unique experience. Have you ever done that before? Like raised from like just a pup all the way?
That's what Ruby is.
Did you get Ruby as a pup?
Yep. We got her 6 weeks old, I think. Yeah. 6 weeks old. Yeah. That's her. She's the prime dog.
Yeah. Well, I mean, of course.
And we had another one as well. Old Woodrow. Out San Diego, but once he got brought back here to Indiana while still out San Diego, he ran off one day. And,
interesting.
Yeah, it was a good little beagle pup, but
gotcha.
Is what it is kind of thing.
Well, I mean, you took him from Southern California to the Midwest. He's like, well, this is my opportunity.
This is freedom. And then he got a coyote, and
I said, well, that didn't go over to you.
Well, we're not brother. Why you got knives?
Whoa, I thought we were friends.
Yeah, not too much. So
you'll have that.
It's a fun adventure, trying to potty train them, and then getting them to because we let our dogs. We're in the center of north side.
Yeah,
we let our dogs go out. We don't have a wired fence. We don't have a fence.
Yeah,
or shot or anything, and they just stay in the yard.
They know where food's coming from.
Yep.
Well, and that's the thing too. I'm definitely getting the fence up at the house not before, but once the pup, because the pup, I think when we get him will be 8 weeks, 10 weeks, somewhere like that. The producer would know more exactly because we got him from a breeder that does the breeding of these type of dogs, and has had several experiences in doing this. This is not the first time that they have breeded this litter of golden doodles, like you will. And so, that's the perks of it. I think a little weird out. Easy. Listen, this is how we do it here at the Brews and Views. It's uncut, unfiltered now. So sometimes new studio we have a little hiccups. It's okay. We'll just ignore whatever happened over there.
Good job, wife.
Yeah, it's just snatching them all up. Sometimes animals escape from the zoo.
Just happened.
It's fine. So, it's definitely it's not coming from someone that's just a random breeder or whatever. It's someone that has experience doing this, and they're already, to my knowledge, they've already started the potty training process and that whole thing. So we'll get a similar leg up. I think we're doing the obedience or manners training. I think too. We're getting both dogs set up for that. So
both dogs?
Well, the producer's dog too. So I mean,
the one that the producer already has.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So
gotcha.
You can't do one without the other, and you know me, I like a nice, calm, well-behaved dog. So we're gonna go ahead and just stick them on and try to get them started off on the right track.
Yeah, I agree.
So it's gonna be an interesting experience. I'll definitely provide some feedback because it's a big learning curve for me. I've never really done it before, so when I agreed to these type of conditions, I was like, okay, you gotta help me out here because I have no clue exactly what I'm doing. I've wanted a dog for a long time. You know, I hadn't had one since I've lived over here in Indiana for 10 plus years now, so I'm excited to get the dog, but definitely a big learning curve for me.
It will be too. As most of you dog owners know, they are your fur babies. So once you finally get that connection, it feels like a child almost.
And that was one thing.
Unless you have children, and then it's
it's
the redheaded stepchild.
Yeah,
of the family. That's what it is. You love them, but like if they do something to your kids, you'll still
I know still yank them up. One of those.
One of the things. Yeah.
Yeah, you can't leave your children out in the cold, but the dog, well,
go out there in that 6 inches of snow and PETA.
Exactly. We'll censor this for PETA. I didn't know if you'd have a reaction to that or not. But
nope.
Nope. You're like, nope, I'm good. So I'm like I said, I'm very much looking forward to it. It's gonna be a learning curve to say the least. But I'm looking forward to getting that I'm assuming so, that connection like you mentioned with the dog. Mainly because of the fact that I when we first met the dog, I didn't really have that connection per se because the pup is only a couple weeks old. He really slept the whole time.
It's like a newborn. If you think about it. I mean, you don't have a connection with it unless you're a mother because we're on
birth canal.
The other side of it. You're like, it's sleeping again, or it's eating again, or it's crying.
I think your wife can attest to this as she's birthed 3 of your children. Well, 2 of them, and you picked up 1 from Mesker Zoo.
Yes,
but
I tried to give her back. She didn't want to go.
Yes, you tried every year on the birthday. No, I understand, but it's like giving childbirth in general, or just the birthing process is like a group project, if you will. Like back in high school, there's one member that does 95% of the work, maybe 99% of the work.
The male.
Not quite. I had a couple more letters before that. And then there's one person that does 1 to 5% of the work and takes a lot of the credit. So
True.
I think that your wife can agree with me in saying that's definitely the case that happened here.
When in Rome.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's just part of it. But any other feedback that you can give as we're wrapping today's episode up about our adventures with the Henderson Brewing Company, just the event in general, to be honest with you?
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I got to say is if you got an event, it's like a smaller event, family gathering or whatever, you need some karaoke.
Yeah, we're not doing Robert Stadium or
Albert's Arena.
Albert's Arena.
Yeah, exactly. Feel free to contact us. I mean, we'll come over there with our stuff. We'll have a good old time, and
we can make it happen.
Yeah.
I mean, that's one thing that I don't know how other karaoke entrepreneurs, if you, I don't know what they really call it, people that run their own karaoke business do it. But I think that it's a learning curve for sure, and we'll just continue to get better as we go, just like this podcast. And then also to just working with whoever we're going to be, just going to be the, I want to say sponsor, but the event host, and making sure that their needs are met as well.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, we just enjoy having a good time, so just like this podcast.
Yeah, 100%. Well, I think that pretty much sums it up for the day. It's been a heck of a Wednesday for me, and I'm ready to call it a day if you don't mind.
Yeah,
and
that's fine.
well, I'm out of beer too, so that that also helps.
And I ain't got no cold ones down here. So.
Yeah, it's not a Joe and Day podcast. So otherwise, we'd have a line all the way across.
Have the Eddie cooler right here.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you'd be kicked back, relaxed in good old God's country, Gibson County. But before we get off here, Jeff, any final words for our viewers this evening?
I'm good right now. Just thank you all for watching, enjoying the podcast. Just keep doing what you guys are doing, and, give us that 5 stars so we can keep bumping this up and having a good old time.
Yeah, 100%. Just follow the sign right here below at the Brews and Views Podcast, at the Brews and Views Podcast. All social media platforms, including Spotify and Apple Podcasts. If you haven't liked or subscribed to the shit, don't waste any time. What are you waiting for? You're already here listening to the episode today. So make sure that you're hitting that like or subscribe button, because we're putting that interesting content every week. You never know what we're going to talk about, truly. We go in every week and we have a loose agenda, if you will. And then we'll take one sip of beer and be like, yeah, we're going to talk about something completely different out in the left field there.
Bingo.
And those are usually the best conversations that we have. So, again, on behalf of Jeff and myself, thank you very much for joining us. Follow us all social media platforms, the Brews and Views Podcast. Like and subscribe to us as well. And as always, the beers are empty. And I think we're ready to
put the dad and skedaddle.
Skedaddle. Amen.
Cheers, bro.
Cheers.